Hello students, today I shall be discussing the metaphysical poetry and the metaphysical poets of the 17th century. Metaphysical poetry began early in the Jacobean age, that is in the last stage of the age of Shakespeare, and Donne was the leader and founder of the metaphysical school of poetry. He led the new way of writing poetry as a reaction against the conventional poetry of the Spenserian kind of poetry. It was Dr. Johnson who christened Donne and his followers as the metaphysical poets. This title was borrowed by Dr. Johnson from Dryden's famous phrase, "Donne affects the metaphysics." In fact, it was William Drummond of Hawthornden who used this term even before John Dryden in relation to a group of poets in a letter of around 1630. Coming on to the main features of the metaphysical poetry, the metaphysical poets were men of learning, and to show their learning was their chief object. Therefore, the metaphysical poetry was purely intellectual and made an appeal to the intellectuals. The thought of the metaphysical poets were often new but seldom natural. They introduced far-fetched images which could not be easily understood by the reader. They made use of the metaphysical conceit. Conceit is a literary term which means a strained or far-fetched imagery. They were also employed by Elizabethan poets, but they used it only for ornamentation. For example, in the poem The Sun Rising by John Donne, the poet displays all his learning and metaphysical wit, and extravagant conceits are employed in glorifying his beloved. He remarks about his wife, "Both the Indias of spice and mine." His wife is to him two Indias in one. This conceit was supplied by the geographical discoveries made in this age. The next important characteristic of the metaphysical poetry is that most of the metaphysicals, they are often called mystical poets. In the poetry of Donne, Herbert, Crashaw, Vaughan, there is an expression of a communion with God. These mystic poets have sense of unity of all life. They believe that the spiritual is alone the real world, and the things of this world are mere shadows. Their mystic visions pierces through the shadows of the world and interprets them as symbols. Now coming on to their poetic style, it was marked by a note of rich melody and beauty. The metaphysical poets threw the poetic style to the winds and made the style unduly rugged, coarse, and hard. Further, for smoothness, Donne substituted roughness of meter, and instead of idealistic but often conventional love poems, he wrote realistic and cynical ones. Therefore, we can say that the metaphysical school of poetry is a poetry of the intellect indulging in far-fetched expressions and conceited thoughts. Wit predominates. One who cannot see through their witty expressions cannot enjoy metaphysical poetry. As already discussed, conceit is an extended metaphor, simile, or an analogy that the metaphysical poets used in their poetry. For example, in his poem The Flea, John Donne uses the conceit of the flea biting first him and then his mistress as a justification for their going to bed together. He says that the body of the flea is their marriage temple. So we can say that these poems, they have been created in such a way that one must have enough knowledge to get the actual meaning. Now let us summarize the poetic style. It is the poetry of intellect indulging in far-fetched comparisons and conceited thoughts. Wit is an important feature of the metaphysical form of poetry, and because of the wit they use difficult words, and because of that it becomes more obscure and vague. Emotions are expressed by logical reasoning and arguments. Spiritualism is stressed upon, there is mysticism in it, the rhythm is dictated by the meaning and not by the requirement of music. And most of the poems that we find in the metaphysical school of poetry, they are highly argumentative. The blend of passion and thought is the distinguishing quality of Donne's poetry. His thought is ever at the service of his passions, and his passions enter into his thoughts. This integrated sensibility is the main quality of his verse. The balance between passionate directness and intellectual play varies from poem to poem and often results in a teasing emotional ambiguity. But the arresting opening lines, the sudden shifts in the poet's attitude to his subject, and the pretense in many poems that they are being spoken in the midst of an unfolding situation, all contribute to give them an air of intensity and excitement unrivaled in English poetry. In his poetry, wit is all pervasive. It is his very genius and fashions his feeling and his thoughts. Dryden and Dr. Johnson, they called Donne a metaphysical poet because of his study of the scholastic philosophy and his habit to yoke ideas which no one had yet seen together. His poetry is metaphysical because of his individualism, his exhibition of learning, his ransacking of medieval schoolmen, and his use of far-fetched conceits. His strained and whimsical images and turns of speech, they are startling. George Herbert was another important metaphysical poet. He was the saint of the metaphysical school of poetry and was among the greatest writers of the poems on sacred subjects. His theory was that a man should take all high gifts to God's service, and he believed that a poet should make the altar blossom with his poetry. He was subtle to the point of obscurity and strange to the point of being enigmatic. His poetry was full of emphatic pauses, sudden turns, familiar phrasing, and in the use of conceits he even left Donne behind. Richard Crashaw was originally an Anglican, but later on he became a Catholic. He was attracted by the ardors of the Spanish mystics, and therefore we find Spanish mysticism in his poetry. He began his poetic career by writing verses on love, but later on he drifted to pure religious poems. Like Donne and Herbert, Crashaw too indulged freely in metaphysical conceit, and like them, he wrote great religious poetry. The next important poet is Henry Vaughan. Like Wordsworth too, he feels nature's infinite beauty, as he sees nature as a symbol of God. Vaughan's poetry, like Crashaw's, is very uneven. The reader must search long before finding the things of value, but when found, they are worth the search. Cowley was an important literary figure of his age. He stands midway between the metaphysical verse writers and the common sense school of Dryden. Andrew Marvell was the only Puritan among the metaphysical poets, yet he was a humanist and a witty poet. Religion had less importance in Marvell's verses, and his poems distinctively reveal his joyous humanism and his love for wine, women, and song. His poetry is based on the adoration of nature. He is the first to sing of the beauty and glory of the gardens and orchards. He takes delights in buds, blossoms, and bushes. In his love poetry, Marvell, he takes an opportunity to denounce women's tricks and artifices. It is replete with a new intensity. It issues from a heart truly deep and passionate, and the love which is demanded is violent and forceful. In fact, patriotism too finds its expression in the poetry of Andrew Marvell. This was all about the metaphysical school of poetry. Thank you so much.